Do you like word problems? Probably not. That's why you're here. Well, guess what? I'm Dave Plus. I'm a retired teacher, and I absolutely love teaching, and especially teaching word problems. So let's dig into the hardest part of math and problem solved. All right, let's dig into this problem. Now, this is a typical problem. It involves a quadratic equation, which I know is like really daunting in terms of a term, but it just means this, okay? And a quadratic equation has a second order function, which is also fancy. It just means that one of the letters, which are symbols that replace numbers or variables, is squared. So it's a second order, it's times itself, okay? And just to be super technical, this number can't be equal, this number can never be equal to 0. So this is the quadratic equation. All right, let's dig into the word problem. And the first thing you do whenever you have a word problem is read the question, all right? And when you read the question, as you go through it, you're gonna underline key words, but really numbers. We don't care about the words. Okay. Although sometimes when it's like, what are you asking for? We're going to try and figure it out. Now, a soccer ball, which I believe in the rest of the world other than North America would be called a football, is kicked from the ground. Now, that's a bit of a trick there. If it's from the ground, how high is it? Not very high at all. In fact, it's at 0. Its height, h, so there you go. So we're looking for h represents height. Okay, so if you see the letter h, you say, oh, that represents height. Okay. In meters, after t, so this variable t represents time. So its height in meters after t seconds is modeled by the equation h equals 5t squared plus 20t. So the height is equal to 5 times the time in the air squared plus 20t. Now, I'm going to talk about this for a split second before we go on. If you look at this, it looks maybe daunting, but actually it's a story. These numbers tell a story. And I think that's what's really exciting about equations, is they're a dynamic story. They tell a story that changes as the numbers change, and so efficiently. This is almost an infinite story. Why is it an almost infinite story? Because there's an infinite amount of t's that you could plug in to get an almost infinite number of h's at the end of the whole process. What a beautiful story. In fact, if I was to write this story, do you want me to draw this story? It's the story of how a ball starts here on the ground, okay? It starts here on the ground, and then somebody goes up and they kick it. Ah! And here's the deal. This formula is for this specific kick. Now, if he kicked it flat along the ground, it would never go up, right? The h would be 0. You can kick the ball and have it just roll right along the ground. That would be a specific kind of formula. And you would have h is equal to 0. 0 times t. No matter what the time is, the height is 0. Okay, but this is a different story. The ball is going to go up. So you're going to kick the ball, and it's going to go up in the air for a while. And then after a period of time, it's going to land. And look at that. Doesn't that look a little bit like a parabola? Because that's what it is. Okay? And really everything in sports is just math to make it that more exciting for you. Now let's get back to this. The question they're asking is, how long is the ball in the air before it hits the ground? So how long is this period of time here? Okay, so how long is the ball suspended in the air? What is the, well, I'll say that in just a sec, but it's the hang time. That's more of a football, North American football term. Okay, Now, in order to solve this problem, in order to solve any problem, we're going to use the grasp method. Now, grasp, G-R-A-S-P, is a acronym, and it stands for given, required, analysis, solution, paraphrase. And I might leave the paraphrase out if I run out of space. So with the given, what are you going to do? You're going to look at all of the things that you're given. You're given this thing, right? So you're given the equation for the ball. Minus 5t squared plus 20t. We're also given a next thing. We're given another thing. What? We're given that h is equal to 0. And this is where the trick in these questions come in, because you might look through here and you're like, wait a minute. You never see them telling you that h is ever equal to 0 at the given time we're talking about it. However, this is where having seen these questions before is a bit of an advantage. How long is the ball in the air before it hits the ground? When it hits the ground, how high is it? 0. So what are we at? What is the height of the ball? We're given the height of the ball. We're what's the time when h is equal to 0? Now, trick question, h is equal to 0 twice, isn't it? H is equal to 0 right here before he kicks the ball. Or she, let's call them they, before they kick the ball. And then they land over, the ball lands here. So, kick the ball up in the air, comes back down, boom. And what are we required to figure out? What are we required? Time in air. Hang time. And that's just our t. What the heck is my t? I hope it's not low t. I hope it's high t. Like high testosterone, but also high t, like the fancy Brits drink. So they want to find out the time in the air, the hang time of the ball. So how long does it spend in the air? Now this is where the A comes in. What's the A? Analysis. Okay, and analysis, this is where we kind of put together what we're given and what we're required. We figure out how we're going to figure it out. So with the analysis, we're going to put together the information we have here, okay? And we're going to say 0, that's our height, is equal to 5t squared plus 20t. That's my analysis, all right? So I know that I can find this. And let me just show you. How am I going to show you? Solution! That's what the S in GRASP stands for. So what's my solution? My solution is like this. Step 1, and here's the trick. And the thing about word problems is there's always a bit of a trick. Like there's something that you need to kind of know. You need, like the only reason why I'm good at this problem is because I've seen it before. First time I ever saw it, I thought it was really hard. But the trick is this. You want a factor, okay? So in my analysis, I'm going to say factor. As an athlete, I was often told I wanted to be a factor. I would tell other people I wanted to be a factor. But what is a factor in math? Well, it's something that you can multiply with something else. So it's an equation that's the product of two terms, which again is fancy. It just means it's something you get by multiplying things together. So to factor it, I've got to find a number, the biggest number that will divide into both of these things. I forgot to make this negative. What's the number one way we make mistakes The number one way we make mistakes is we forget to move our signs properly. And I demonstrated that on purpose. Well done, Dave. Okay, let's get to the solution. So we're looking at this, and let's factor that out. Can I get a 5? We're going to start with our numbers first. Is there a number that I can divide into both of these things? Well, first of all, can I divide -5 into -5? Yes, I can. And that's just 1. Okay, which I won't write down. I'll bring my -5 outside here, and I'm going to, oh, crud. Wait a minute. Can I divide -5 into +20? What's that? Yes, I can. Okay, so I'm going to divide both of these factors by -5. But question, is there a letter that I can divide into both of these things here? Is there a variable that will go into both of these? Remember when I say the word variable? That means a letter, okay? So is there a variable that I can divide into both of them? Well, t. This has a t, this has a t. This has 2 t's. So I can divide everything by -5 t. So I take -5t out of the equation. All right? And then what do I have here? Well, this is going to be right here, 1. -5t divided by -5t is 1. What's 1 divided by 1? 1. Just don't tell a certain actor, Terrence Howard. He'll get upset with you and tell you that math can't possibly be right. But I'm sorry, the maths. 1 goes into 1 one time. 1 times 1, if you got 1, 1, you have 1. That's how that math works. Okay, let's get back onto track here. Now, this is where we got to get our signs right. 1 minus hard to. I'm fearing my markers are going to die on me a little bit, so I'm going to bring in a new marker. Yay. 1 minus 4. No, my bad. This is not a 1. I'm such a dummy. It's t. I'm so dumb. 5t, right? So I messed up there. There, because I'm like, the math is not mathing. Now the math is mathing. Okay, so 5t goes into 20t, and it gives me 4. Okay, so if 0 is equal to -5t times brackets t minus 4, what is a value for t that's going to be equal to 0? Well, if t is equal to 0, it's all equal to 0, okay? So, but we already know that this is when t is equal to 0, right? What is it here at the second time? So let's look at a next trick. Okay, so now t equals 0, or let's look at this number. How can I make what's inside the brackets 0? Because that's really the trick. I want to make what's inside the brackets 0. Make this 0. How? Well, if this was equal to 4, 4 minus 4 is 0. So, now can I tell you a little story? There was a stick person, and they kicked the ball up into the air. And at 0 seconds before the second they kicked the ball, just before the time started, the ball was on the ground. And they kicked the ball with such force that it flew up into the air, but not such force that it flew into space and overcame the surly bonds of gravity. It started to come down again. And then after 4 seconds, it's back down on the ground. So, let's get to our paraphrase, which is just a fancy way of saying our statement. And sometimes I actually call this grass, because I'll say that's a statement. But let's just dig down onto this. Time in air is 4 seconds. And then I'm going to do a little trick. I'm going to plug this number back in here. And I'm going to go 0 equals -5 times 4 times 4 minus 4. And that's going to be -20 times 0. And anything times 0 is 0. Nothing of anything is nothing. And so, see? I told you so. The answer is 4 seconds. And what can I say, children? Problem solved. You're not children. I should also say that. Thanks for watching the very first episode of Problem Solved. And if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe. I got many, many, many more problems. In fact, life is filled with problems. It's an almost infinite kind of thing. So keep watching in this space for more problems. And if you enjoy the way I teach and you'd like to learn a little bit more, I'm actually doing this to promote my tutoring business. And so if you would like to have Mr. Dave as your tutor, then just give me an email, and my email is listed in the information about this channel. And so send me a message and we'll go from there. All right, so thanks for making it to the very end. All right, peace.